Mike Owens with Inside Fighting here, joined today by Billy Brand, who on Tuesday night makes his Dana White Contender Series debut. Billy, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Things are great, man. Finishing up the camp, weight cuts ahead of schedule, which is nice. Um, Ready to go.
And how are your emotions ahead of the biggest fight of your life? And what was your first reaction when you got the news that Dana White wanted to see you perform in front of him?
Um, the the emotions are the same as every fight. It's just another fight. I've been planning this for a long time. I always expected to get the call for Contender Series. If it was going to be the Ultimate Fighter, then that obviously I wouldn't have said no. But I always thought that I was a better fit for Contender Series. You get one chance to show Dana what you got, and yeah, as far as when I got the call, I got like an unofficial, hey, Faber kind of pulled me aside after practice and said, hey, I talked to Sean Shelby, and he said they're looking at you for this date in August. He actually had an opponent back then. The opponent has since switched because of some contractual issues, but yeah, I've known about it for a long time. Actually, like I want to say since I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this. I've known for a long time.
What did you
I've had this date.
what did you make of week one? I mean, four contracts given out, four stoppages, a lot of impressive performances. What did you make of the first week as you roll into your fight on Tuesday?
Um, Not much, man. I've been watching Contender Series since it started. I actually wasn't gonna watch week one just because I didn't want to. I don't know. I just felt like I don't know. It might distract me a little bit, but it didn't. Like I said, I've been watching since season one. My boy Benito got signed on season one, and uh, Fluffy Anthony Hernandez got signed a little after that. Um, but yeah, it was a good show. I think Contender Series is kind of the best route, and I think that they give you. I think if you get to Contender Series, there's a reason. You have something about you, um, and I've always known I've had that. So, like I said, I've been expecting the Contender Series call for a while now.
In terms of getting the actual contract, it's interesting because some guys get a contract for just being entertaining and putting on an entertaining fight, and some guys, obviously, with the likes of Lana Kavanagh on week one, just get a highlight reel knockout, and it's pretty obvious that they're going to get a contract. When you look at your fight on Tuesday night, do you think it's more important for you to finish the fight or for you to be entertaining while doing so?
Um, I've never had a boring fight, so that's not really a concern of mine. I think that's what separates me from most of the people that get the call is they have to change the way they fight, and I just have to do what I've always done. I want the finish. I'll be looking for the finish, but if it doesn't happen, I'm pretty confident I'll still get a contract. But I'm also pretty confident that I'll get the finish.
What have you made of your opponent, Cody Haddon? Have you had a chance to look at him? And if so, give me your scouting report on your next opponent.
He's good, man. He's obviously probably the best guy I've fought so far, but that's kind of how it should work. Every fight should be a step up in like caliber of opponent. But yeah, he's a good boxer. He likes to grapple. I think I have more tools than him. I think that I can hurt him a million different ways, and he's gonna try to box with me until he can take me down or and then submit me. I think is probably his thoughts if I had to guess. But I'm ready for whatever. I train with some of the best guys in the world, um, and I don't know, man. I think it's hard to beat American wrestling, and I think he's gonna feel that as soon as we tie up.
For those who maybe haven't had a chance to watch you, because obviously the beauty of this show is in many ways it's your opportunity to perform for the world for the first time and to get people to know you. So for people who haven't watched Billy Brand, give the audience a little bit of an understanding of what your fight style is like and what you like to bring to your performances in the cage.
I came up doing Muay Thai before I ever even thought about MMA. I was kind of anti MMA for a while, so you can really see that Muay Thai style, but it's not something I'm married to. The way I used to think about fighting is I'm gonna showcase Muay Thai to the world. I'm gonna show everybody like you could win an MMA fight. And I remember my friend Jessie Rose Clark. She said kind of the same thing, and then so yeah, I just wanted to showcase Muay Thai in MMA. And then I remember I had a couple fights. I ended up winning fights, but I kept getting taken down. And I was like, all right, fuck this. I gotta learn how to wrestle. I gotta just be an MMA fighter. And obviously, since Muay Thai is my base and that's what I started with, it shows. But uh, I'm really well versed everywhere.
UFC 305 is this weekend, a big time middleweight title fight going down. And we're happy to announce that Inside Fighting has once again partnered up with DraftKings to bring you guys an offer. Or right now, if you're a new DraftKings customer, you can go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5 on UFC 305, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets instantly using our promo code Inside Fighting.
We were talking then, Billy, and you mentioned the room that you train in, Team Alpha Male. Talk to me a little bit about the guys who've been getting you prepared for this fight and some of the guys that you're working day to day, because a lot of big names, but also some guys similar to yourself that maybe the world doesn't know about quite yet.
Yeah, I got a great team. I do train out of Team Alpha Male, but I also train at Main Event Muay Thai and Nexus Jiu Jitsu. And between all three of those, I get everything I need. I have a kind of the guidance of Faber and Feely and Guida and Danny Castillo and all of these like UFC veterans that have been there, done that. So I get a realistic gauge of what it's actually like. I was with Feely for the weight cut for his last fight. Um, in preparation for that, we were drilling once a week. Um, more than that, but one dedicated drilling session a week, and just sharpening all everything, our whole MMA game. So I'm really fortunate to have all the guys at Alpha Male, but also the guys at Main Event. It's a Muay Thai gym. I'm the only MMA fighter there, but my coach Lino has a really good. He knows how to fight, and when it comes to striking, that's kind of the guy that I look to, and uh, we make our strategy, see the tendencies and everything. And then at Nexus Jiu Jitsu, I got my buddy Lake G, who's I think 7-0 in MMA. Should be getting a call here pretty soon. Maybe one more fight, and then he's right there with us. My buddy Jack Duffy, who's on the week after me. So I'll be staying out in Vegas for that. But yeah, from top to bottom, my whole team, my girlfriend, my parents, my brother, like everybody, it's all in, and this is really all that I do, and I can just focus on fighting.
Who's the hardest round in Alpha Male? Give me the juicy gossip, Billy. Who's the guy when Favor goes, you're paired up against him, you go, oh, not around with him.
Shit, there's I don't want to give anybody credit, man. My buddy Isaac is really sharp. Jack is probably one of the hardest guys to deal with, just because his grappling is so high level, and he'll get on your neck, and even if he doesn't submit you, he'll be on your neck, attacking your neck for 5 minutes. The sooner he gets on, the harder it's gonna be to deal with. Again, my buddy Isaac Thompson, he's a 45er, and just really he calls himself a grappler, but his striking is so good. He's a tall dude, uses feints really well. But yeah, man, there's a lot of tough rounds, and that's kind of why you're there, right? Obviously, Song Yadong is in there. One time, one time I came to this was a long time ago. I went out drinking the night before. And I woke up, and it was Saturday, which is boxing sparring, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll go get a little sweat, kind of sweat out the liquor, and and this is when Mendes was getting ready for a bare knuckle fight. And Mendes was never in the boxing practice, so I wasn't expecting him to be there. And then, of course, Chad's there, and I'm like, oh, man, and Chad just rocked me across the mats. Had to run to the bathroom, puke some shit up, and then came back out and got a couple more rounds. But yeah, that was one mistake I won't make again.
And you mentioned a couple of minutes ago that this will be the toughest fight of your life. If yeah, I think I checked your record before you jumped on, and you've also fought Payton Talbott. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Had
And
that fool too.
and how do you
Um,
look back on that fight and what he's done subsequently?
if you go back and watch that fight, I have been by far his toughest fight
Yeah,
in or out of the UFC.
yeah.
And so at first it was really obnoxious to see him like kind of grow and come up and come up and come up and keep building on what he had done. But that also kind of showed me like, okay, we're like I was winning that fight. You know, I think if you ask him, we're friends now. We train together sometimes. We still want to fight again in the UFC. That was something we talked about right after the fight. I was like, hey, you got to give me the rematch. He's like, all right, you know, it was like right after the fight, right after we got out of the cage. He's like, okay, whatever, you know. And then I was telling my coaches like, no, let's get that one back, get that one back. And then they ended up saying, let's get that one back when there's some money on the line, you know, because I took a lot of damage that fight. I won the first round on all three scorecards. The second round, I was on my way to winning. I did even better than the first. And then with about a minute left, caught me with a body hook and just stole all the momentum, and then ended up almost finished me like that whole minute. Made it out of the second round, went into the third, and then Feely and my coach Lino threw in the towel. So if you ask me, I haven't really lost. My coaches stopped it, you know. So that's a fight I'd love to get to. Obviously, I think once I get my contract on Tuesday, I'll have to win a couple before I get straight to him because of his trajectory. But I think that's a fight that everyone would want to see once they see what I'm capable of, you know, and I have to show them that first, get a couple wins in the UFC, and then, yeah, I'd love to get that one back.
Well, turning the conversation back to you and obviously this upcoming fight on Tuesday night, as you mentioned, the biggest fight of your life. So we'll end it here. Tuesday night, you become a UFC fighter. What does that mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Everything, man. This is really all I've ever done. I started training, and it's funny because I was talking to my coach, and he watched an interview with Cody, and he said the same thing, that this is all both of us have ever really done. You know, since we started. Granted, like I said, I wasn't really into MMA when I first started, but from my first MMA fight at 16, this was kind of the goal, you know. And even before that, I was going to be a Muay Thai champion and a boxing champion. And then I got into MMA and just fell in love with it. So to be in the UFC, you know, there's really no. I know people like to argue which promotion is better, but there's really no comparing. You know, like on a grand scale, don't get me wrong. Like one championship does some cool shit. PFL is doing some cool shit, but there's nothing like being a UFC fighter. And I don't just want to be a UFC fighter. I want to be a UFC champion. And that's the goal, man. And the first part of that is getting signed, you know. So it means the world to me. I'm sure it means the world to Cody. But sorry, man, gonna have to send him back home to Australia.
I love it. I love it. Well, Billy, I'm really grateful that we could catch up just a couple of days before this massive fight. Have a great and safe rest of camp. I know you've only got a couple of days left. Best of luck with it,
Yep.
and hopefully have a safe weight cut. And of course, best of luck for Tuesday night, my friends.
Thank you, but I appreciate it, man.